Pure in heart, Wednesday, Matthew 7:16 through 20. So, man, I got to tell you, this whole pure in heart um, week has been rough for me um, because I'm not as pure in heart as I want to be, which is interesting, right? Because are people who aren't pure in heart, do they even have a desire to be pure in heart? If you have a desire to be pure in heart, is there purity in heart growing in you? I don't know. But this passage today hurt my feelings, and it has for a long time. When I hear verses like this verse, I always read it through like a lens of morality. That good fruit is like means you're doing morally good things, your right behavior, right thoughts, not sinning. And bad fruit is morally bad. And so the question is like, is there a ratio of how many good moral things compared to the bad moral things that keeps the fruit being good when you cross over to being bad fruit, or is good fruit like perfect morality? Um, Whatever the ratio is or isn't, I never I never have felt like I've measured up in my own mind, and so a lot of times when I read these verses, I either like just bypass them and just try to focus on God's grace, or I start feeling like I'm only worthy of the burn pit. But a couple things that I've been thinking about here. One, good fruit is not moral behavior but love. Now, good moral behavior is going to reflect love. I get it, but the purpose of our faith in Christ is not behavior modification, but growing in receiving God's love and our ability to share it, our ability to receive and share God's love. And when I see my inability to produce perfect fruit or good fruit, what happens in my heart is some kind of expression of what we've talked about as poor in spirit, of realizing that I am not good enough to earn God's blessing, and that in that experience, I'm blessed, which seems to be good fruit. On top of all this passage is actually talking about false prophets. Jesus says before the passage that we read in verse 33, nope, in verse 16, in verse 15, he starts off in saying, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits." So already, this whole passage is only talking about false prophets who are wolves who have put on sheep's clothing. Like they aren't even trying to produce good fruit. They are intentionally being duplicitous so that they might devour the sheep. Um, that's bad fruit, and that's easy to see. I would say that if in this passage, if you found yourself worrying about your fruit, the concern is good fruit. Let yourself return to the first beatitude. Fall in the arms of Christ's grace and taste and see that He's good. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God.